name William, and I would request him to introduce himself.
Sure. Well, thank you for having me here today. Um, I guess, 25 years ago, actually, I'm even thinking I have to start updating that. I'm like, how many years have I been? Definitely 25 in security, privacy, and risk areas. When we were coming up in the field, we're like, hey, this technology stuff is great to work with. This is fun. We get to take our hobby and sort of make it something we get paid for. And of course, times have changed, and that's where now it's not just information technology, but it's information security. And we're seeing concerns of the confidentiality, the integrity, the availability of systems, and privacy's become a big concern, because if somebody can disable the security of a system, well, now you've got a privacy issue going on there, and none of us wants to be on the front page of the newspaper. We'd rather that be someone else. Over the years, I've been involved with ISACA, large auditing organization, ISSA, security organization, worked across different industries. The pain points are the same across these industries. It's just usually we see financial and healthcare seem to be the ones that get the rules first. I've developed programs, transform programs, help people get through audits. And been involved with Simplilearn now. I think this is over 10 years.
Great, great. Thank you. Thank you for being here today, Bill. To begin with, let's talk about some of the careers in cybersecurity that in 2024. Do you think cybersecurity is vital for all the businesses and our personal lives as well?
Absolutely. We can't do anything without cybersecurity these days. Let's just think how technology has changed, right? Your television is not a plain old television, right? Your television is a smart TV, and it's got streaming services on it. Your phones are more than just phones. And actually, before this webcast, I was out in my garage, and I remembered to myself, wow, there's a phone that's like 20 years old. It still works, and it's got like one circuit board in it, but otherwise it's dumb. And I'm like, no, technology has changed now. It's all, what apps do you have? And what we're finally starting to see is during the pandemic, a lot of organizations had to suddenly rush to get home, right? To get the workers home, because of the fact that you couldn't have people congregating in the office. So finally, what we're seeing is that half or more of the CISOs recognize that they actually haven't fully mitigated all the risks associated with remote work and cloud optimization. And we have a big push for return to the office, but there's still a ton of people who are going to be staying remote for a long time. And there are people that now that Pandora's box has been opened, right? And people want access to technology anywhere. Consumers want it, so why would they not expect to work in the same fashion, right? And of course, the mobile and Internet of Things, and that's why I say, our clients are anywhere, our customers, our stakeholders, whatever you want to call it, right? Your data is everywhere, right? And of course, there was that old saying about why do robbers visit the banks? And the answer was, well, that's where the money is. Well, now your cyber criminals, their job is so much easier, because where's the data? The data is everywhere, and it's, your Internet of Things. Do you look over at your thermostat and you see your thermostat is one of those internet connected thermostats? Do you look at your doorbell and you see that it's got a video camera and it's on the internet? Or how many, you don't have to raise your hands, but how many of you have those vacuum cleaners that run around and automatically figure out what parts of your house need cleaning, right? Well, guess what? They all connect to the internet. So, your cars are connecting to the internet. You name it, everything now, it is connected online, all the time. And so, well, that makes it an easy target for your anyone. I don't even want to say cyber criminals, anyone who has malicious intents.
Right. So, Bill, can you just quickly take us to what you think will be the hottest skills in cybersecurity space in the coming year? Do you think
Well,
there are
we
any
have,
specific ones?
yeah, usually, we have a whole gamut of skills that are important in the cybersecurity space, and at any time. And when you look at the hottest skills in the cybersecurity space, as someone who's been in security and privacy for so many years, I've got to stress secure coding techniques, privacy by design, DevSecOps, right? And now of course, because you've got to code it properly, right? And that means you've got to have identification and authentication built into your solution. You've got to have encryption built into your solution. You should be thinking about the threat analysis. Now, I guess number two, I'll say, is AI and machine learning. I have to call that one out separately because we're seeing, once you put it up uh, into this machine learning, is that data yours? How is it learning? How's it being shared? Can that get out of control? I think we've seen some, and we joke about it. We've seen those AI produced music videos where it looks like a video representation of an artist. It sounds like an audio representation of an artist, but it's all AI taken from samples. And I guess number three, I've got to talk about data privacy and security because we're seeing the fact that the data privacy, people are expecting data privacy, and they're upset about yet another breach. Oh gosh, what's in your bucket? Capital One years ago, and they kind of fluffed it off. Equifax had issues years ago, and they fluffed, they worked on it, but it didn't really hurt them. But we're seeing occasionally there are organizations that are getting hurt data privacy and security issues. And we're seeing it across industries. Even what was it this year? The primary elections in Philadelphia, a newspaper was taken offline, coincidentally on the day of the primary election. So this is not going away anytime soon.
Right, right. So, Bill, can you take us through some of the trending cybersecurity career paths which will be maybe in demand in 2024?
Absolutely. Sometimes people say, I want to be the chief information security officer or the business information security officer. Oh, I know it's not here. But actually, these are the ways you get in. And, sometimes how do you get to that level? And I was thinking of, as we're going into 2024, a large part of it is how do you integrate the business with cybersecurity? And so for a lot of you that are not in cybersecurity, you work in an industry, you work in finance or healthcare or retail, whatever that industry that may be, you will know how that industry works. And now, once you learn cybersecurity, it's oftentimes easy to transition into those cybersecurity paths. And so we see a lot of times people are able to, they'll get a security analyst or security consultant or security engineer, sometimes within their own employers. So you could just transition within the company because you already know how that company works. Now you're taking that cyber piece and adding on to it. Now, other times, if you're trying to break in, you totally want to change industries, you want to totally change companies. You may find that your first cybersecurity career may be a SOC analyst, right? Because you're learning about the types of security incidents that are happening, and then you work your way up into security engineer or cloud security engineer or threat intelligence analyst, or you may specialize in forensics. Or if you want to do, and usually I find a lot of company, like really large multinational companies, will have their own penetration testing teams, their own ethical hacking teams. And I run into these people every so often. They're like, yes, they're some of the few. It's like you take the largest banks in America. Yes, they've got their own in-house teams. But otherwise, you're hiring an outside, penetration tester, ethical hacker to use the skills of the malicious actors against your system to see how they're going to perform. So, and that's oftentimes is a good career path, as like sort of that consultant, that security consultant, risk assessment consultant type role there.
Right, right. Thank you. So, Bill, what according to you is really changing in cybersecurity space in 2024? Like, is it going to be the same what is being happening, or something is really going to change?
Well, we're seeing some of these things changing, and I think we actually have some examples. So just to, zero trust has been a buzzword that's been out for, that gets us around the concept. It used to be that if you could connect it to the network, that you would trust it. And that's going away. I can't trust it. And part of the reason I can't automatically trust things is because of that supply chain security, because I don't know where that thing came from. And actually today on, it was the Today Show on NBC, they were talking about imposter Samsung phones and imposter iPhones. And I think it was like 2 weeks ago, there was a conviction of somebody who was selling counterfeit Cisco gear. And yes, they caught them eventually, but yeah, we have hardware supply chain, we have software supply chain. The ransomware continues to evolve, and it's getting more and more sophisticated. We're seeing AI driven solutions. We're seeing advancements in machine learning. And we're seeing regulation because the regulators are tired of this. And that's, in the United States, I didn't see too many folks from the United States, but in the United States, we've had very fragmented or fractured types of rules where it's on a state by state basis. And actually, we're going to see one that's coming in, and it's going to affect not just those folks in the US that are publicly traded, but if you're a third party provider to a publicly traded firm in the US, via the contract, those cybersecurity requirements are going to carry over. And I think next up we have one of those examples, right?
Yeah. Can take us through
And
this.
yeah, every time we host these webinars and people say, well, cybersecurity, didn't we cure that already? Didn't we solve this? And the answer, sadly, no. And this is one, Atlassian. And I try not to pick on a vendor every so often, but Atlassian has actually been in the news since 2022. They've actually been previously to the point where if you're a government agency, you were told you must patch all of your Atlassian. It was Confluence, it was Jira, there's also Bitbucket that's been affected. They've had these different products that have been impacted. Oh, and guess what? December 5th, we have 3 more. So it's not done yet. It's going to continue, right? And so that's our, we're using these solutions, right? We're trusting someone else to help us with a solution because you may have Jira as part of your service system, your service desk system, your ticketing system, your programming workflow, and here you are, you've got this system that is vulnerable. And I think our next example is I'm trying to think. It's logo fail. This one, and this is one. Those of you who are watching, even if you don't sign up for one of the cohorts, you want to take a look at your own system. You want to take a look at your computer system and see if it's impacted, right? And what we saw, it was revealed November 29th. Now, ethical disclosure. The folks who found this, they actually disclosed it to the major vendors months ago. And they only came forward because that's responsible disclosure. They gave them a chance to fix it before it was publicly announced. But it is potentially scary, potentially affecting up to 95% of computers that are using what's referred to as UEFI. Now, that extensible firmware interface, that's in most modern systems. We're not using a BIOS, we're using UEFI. You'd have to go out to my garage, my old, the old relics out there. Yes, those are BIOS machines, like the machines that I'm sitting in front of today, UEFI, right? And it's based on the image parsing library, that pretty logo. So, we could say Dell or Lenovo or HP or whatever, and it could be exploited by other bugs. Or if you have physical access to the device, to then put malware to take advantage of the vulnerabilities in the image parsing. Now, it's not everybody, supposedly, for now, I have to say for now, because I'm a pessimist, Dell apparently is not affected, but give it time. I think that Dell, supposedly you can't write to the section where the logo is. So the UEFI has the vulnerability, but they've locked down the ability to modify the logo. So it's sort of the vulnerabilities there, but they've sort of put another mitigation in place. And that's usually what we end up doing in that mitigation of cybersecurity. We find ways of mitigating, even if we can't fix the underlying vulnerability. Now, those of you who are at home, look up your machine. And so I'm sitting here on a Lenovo machine, and I think it was either February 5th or February 20th is when I might see a patch for this. I'm saying next year. So I'm saying, what is that? That is at least 60 days out. 60 days out to get those updates. So, you're saying, oh, I'm going to use that hotel or coffee shop Wi-Fi. Well, can they exploit another bug, right? And I talked about regulatory, and this is I think going to open up a big can of worms. Excuse me. The SEC, I think, is on our next slide. That's the example of Lenovo. Okay, so here, February 2nd of next year. So some of them came out, and it looked like if you have corporate gear, enterprise gear, you might have gotten a patch. But if you're in like the small, medium-sized business or home user, right, you may not get an update, and sometimes you may not ever get an update if your hardware was off of that list completely. And that's that. And I've seen that too. We mentioned IoT. There was actually a presentation I saw in August where someone was reporting the vulnerabilities that they found. They found these vulnerabilities in their smart vacuum, and the vendor's response was to give them a $50 coupon off the new model because they were not going to fix the old one. And actually, that's $50 more than most people got. So it's the next slide that we talk about the SEC. New SEC rule, right? And this is, I put this in here because basically you're looking at these deadlines that are happening. The rule has been approved, right? And so now you have to actually disclose cybersecurity incidents. So if you're publicly traded, now your annual reports, if the annual report is issued after December 15th, you're going to have to disclose it on your 10K. So a few companies are probably going to close their year on December 14th. Just to, I don't know. I try not to joke about that, but they might, just so they don't have to report them. And we're going to see Form 8K. Now, the 8K, you actually have to report. I believe it's within 4 business days that you become aware of a breach. So it's not just going to be an annual reporting. It's going to be in 96 hours. Or unless they do business, I have to look again to see if it's business hours or business days. That's still a lot faster than it ever was, because we used to have HIPAA was 60 days under the Health Information Portability and Accountability Act. A covered entity would have 60 days. And they say, well, it was just names and social security numbers. That's not protected health information. Okay, we're splitting hairs here because that's PII, not PHI. And people would start splitting hairs on that. Well, now your covered entities, if they're publicly traded, guess what? Now they have to disclose the breach. So I think this is really going to help close up that rule. There's going to be an additional 180 days for smaller reporting companies, because it kind of recognizes that they have to ramp up their efforts to sort of catch up. But yeah, this is definitely getting into that the regulatory framework is changing.
Right. So I have a quick poll for our audience. So now that you know what are the different skills that will be in demand, how are the things changing in 2024? So what's really stopping you from becoming a cybersecurity expert? Is it that you cannot find a comprehensive program? Is it that you're not getting enough practical exposure to become job ready? Are you finding it difficult to learn from pre-recorded videos? Or is it that just your work schedule doesn't allow enough time for your learning? It's a multiple choice poll. I would request all of our participants to punch in their responses and tell us what challenges they are facing, and what is really stopping you from becoming a cybersecurity expert. Is it that you're not finding a fully comprehensive curriculum? You don't get enough practical exposure to become job ready? You find it difficult to learn from pre-recorded videos, or your work schedule just doesn't allow you enough time for learning? I'll keep the poll open for another 10 seconds before I close it. I would request all our participants to punch in the responses. I'll end the poll now. As I can see, we have a mixed audience. About 22% of our audience says they cannot find a fully comprehensive curriculum. About 67% say that we don't have a practical experience and practical exposure to become job ready. About 6% say that find it difficult to learn from pre-recorded videos. And about 33% say that their work schedule doesn't allow enough time. Thank you all for your responses. And to overcome all these challenges, Simplilearn and Caltech has come up with a unique program called the Cybersecurity Bootcamp. It has a comprehensive curriculum with an industry-aligned learning path. It has integrated labs and hands-on projects, which will give you the required practical exposure and make you job ready. We also provide online live virtual classrooms with peer and instructor interactions, and it's also flexible to fit your lifestyle and schedule. The program, if you invest about 5 to 10 hours a week, you'll be able to complete it in a period of 6 months. And the program is in collaboration with Caltech Center of Technology and Management Education. In the end of the program, you'll obviously get the Caltech CTME Bootcamp certificate. You'll have hands-on projects and integrated labs, which you can add to your resume and add value. You'll be also getting 26 credits from the Caltech CTME, which can be utilized in any other program. You'll also be part of the Caltech CTME Circle membership. Simplilearn also helps you with career assist services, and in the end, you'll also have an online convocation where you'll be awarded with your certificate. As we discussed about the Caltech CTME, we all know Caltech is one of the oldest and the most renowned universities in the world. It has been home to several Nobel laureates, and it has been consistently ranking in the top 5 universities worldwide. We also know Caltech from one of the most famous sitcoms, The Big Bang Theory, which is based on Caltech, on the Caltech University. And having Caltech CTME on your CV is obviously a prestigious accomplishment, which is recognized worldwide. Now, I would request Bill to take over and quickly run us through our LMS and how our learners will access the course and what are the different aspects to it.
Sure. So, yeah, before I share, okay. So I'll share my screen, then we'll come back. We'll talk about those, and we'll just summarize the points.
Yeah.
So let me share that screen. There we go. You should see my screen now.
Yeah, right. We can see.
Okay, so Simplilearn has this LMS, and I see the poll responses that it's hard to learn from pre-recorded videos, and I've heard that, I guess, and I've seen that because sometimes you have someone who just drones on, and you don't know if they're live, right, or if it's max headroom, I actually saw a live presenter who sounded like they were just reading from a script and they weren't reading the room at all. I was quite shocked. So sometimes a pre-recorded video can be like that. So once you're you log into the LMS that Simplilearn has, you see the different programs that you're part of here, right? And of course, we're talking about the Caltech Cybersecurity Bootcamp today. So when I say go to the program, I'll go in and I see. Well, I should have seen. It wiped out my screen. So, okay, I'll call it up again. Okay. No worries. I just clicked the link again. So you actually have a series of courses, and you're going through this as a program. It is a deliberate program where you start as a cohort, you get the understanding of the cybersecurity fundamentals, you get on the same page as far as language. So people who are transitioning into cybersecurity that maybe didn't even start with technology at all are able to get that foundation. And then we go through a series of classes, and you're all going through together as a cohort. As a matter of fact, and one of the things we do in between the classes is we have Slack. And so Slack, you can actually correspond with your classmates, and you can also correspond with your instructor. And so that gives you a little bit of that mix of, yeah, we have to meet for these 3 hours, 3 nights a week. But I could still ask questions. We hold the classes live, You can listen to the recordings if you have to miss a class for some reason, but you still got access to instructors such as myself during the other days and the weekends, and we make ourselves available via a huddle in Slack as well. So there's that. We basically like an office hour, which would be really hard a lot of times. Like, how do you a lot of times doing a course, you're saying, well, how do I catch the instructor? Oh, I can only catch the instructor at this time, at this hour, and I have to catch them before they leave. It really has changed. I know a lot of times people think of academia like the old TV show was The Paper Chase, where they were lawyers, law school rather, and it was very hard to catch up with your instructors. And definitely, it's not. There are multiple avenues to reach your instructors. So when you go in here, let's say I look at my learning track here, and so I can expand that out there. Because I'm in the capstone. Okay, because I picked a random topic, and of course it took me to the capstone. So we go through a series of topics in each course, and within the course, you're going to see assessments that you complete, right? And so you get competency checkpoints that are testing your knowledge as you go through them. These career simulations, this is actually, and this one happens to be the capstone project for this curriculum, for this cohort. And so you're actually doing a real life project. So let's just say I went back out here, and let's just hop back up to the top here. You see how the topic areas are broken out. In this, I chose the blue team course. Again, I just picked a course at random. And we talk, you have some learning materials here in the LMS, but a big part of that, right, there's group interaction with your classmates. And if I go I'm just going to pick on this introduction to logs here. I'm going to go back up here. You have these activities, and you're going to go through these different topics, and you're going to see exercises. And so actually here, right, we have our exercise here. That basically, an instructor would walk you through it, and then later you would do it yourself. So you're getting that hands-on experience right then and there. And the other thing I wanted to make sure I mention is a lot of times people who are transitioning into cybersecurity, and even myself, I still get asked, "Oh, can you give me an example of X?" And so one of the things we do as we're going through the program with the projects within the courses, the various projects that you might find within the courses that are part of this curriculum, you can actually put that into your portfolio. And then when you are interviewing with somebody, say, "Could you give me a sample of your writing?" You have one, right? You have an example of something you've already done. Now the hands-on labs, you click on your labs, and again, I chose the blue team, so we happen to have a combination of forensics and incident response. We have logged labs that work on for log reviews, and actually, what you have here, like for instance with forensics, is you'll see Kali, and you see SIFT, the SANS incident toolkit, and you'll see this is a Windows installation that's up in the cloud. And what's great about these, right, is that you can look at all these and you can say, hey, okay, it's fully functional, right? I'm going to click click the logo there because it was dormant for a little bit. All right. Okay, this is full of Kali, right? It's not just a mere simulation. If you want to, you can reset the lab. So if I totally go off in left field and I do something wrong in the lab, people sometimes will say, oh, I'll use virtual machines. The advantage of the cloud-based lab is you can reset it at a moment's notice. You don't risk damaging anything in your own home. You don't have to go buy additional hardware. I mean, and somebody will say, well, the cloud, the courses are not free. Well, because none of this is free either, right? These lab environments and the curriculum to steer you down the right path is not free. So yeah, like I said, this is a fully functional lab. You actually get a series of certificates as you go through the program. And it's weird. I, as an instructor, even though I teach these courses, it still says I haven't completed the program, but it reminds us that yes, I have to actually attend 80% or more sessions of that live class. So you've got that leeway if you miss a class here and there. And you do also have to complete your projects is the other element that's something here. So, and then you get a certificate. And actually, what you end up with, if I go back to the program details, all these different courses, each we actually would see that you would get certificates along the way. And what you would see is that these are locked. It would say like the course is locked until you've completed the course before. So it is an orderly, structured manner of going through the program. So you get a certificate as you're going through, and then you get that CTMA, Caltech CTME certificate at the end of the program. So that's sort of the tour of the LMS. A little, I showed you Slack real quick. I think we'll go back, and Akshay, I think you have those courses, which is the way I like to think about those courses.
Yeah.
So our next, it's on the next slide there. Okay, well, it's two slides.
I'll quickly run you through the eligibility criteria. You need to have a basic knowledge of programming concepts and mathematics to enroll for this course. You need to be at least 18 years of age or older, or have a high school degree, diploma in your name. And you don't need to have any work experience before enrolling for this course. So these are the three eligibility criteria for enrolling for the Caltech CTM Cybersecurity Bootcamp. So how does this program prepare you? I would request Bill to quickly take us through the stepwise and how this program builds your cybersecurity skills.
Right. So I kind of like this view of the program because the concept, you start with the fundamentals, you start with the basics, and you work your way up. Because you don't climb Mount Everest in a single step. You've got to take a series of steps to get there. Anything that's worth doing is going to take a series of steps to get there. And so I see another question I'll talk about as I talk about this. So we talk about the cybersecurity fundamentals and understanding all these different terms, and not everything is a virus, right? There are assessments along the way. Absolutely, every single one of these of the courses that you go through, there's assessments that you complete. There's projects that they're pass fail. So it's and you get feedback from your instructor, and that's a role I play. Is as people are completing their projects, they'll complete a project, they'll complete one of the projects, they'll send it in, I'll review it, I'll say, okay, well, yes, I think you hit these points, or I think you need to improve a couple things. We can go back and forth so that you get a final. And like I said, it's going in your portfolio, so of course I want you to have a good result. Now as we go through, someone has said to, as far as certifications, when you look at the A+ certification is geared towards break fix desktops, laptops, mobile devices, basic. Where we kind of fit here, now Security Plus is sort of as a crosswalk that definitely, as I think about the curriculum, because this is a lot longer than just 4 or 5 days. And this is more than just reading a book. But as you go through this program, yes, I think you're well suited for you could sit for the Security Plus very well. Between the fact that we talk about Linux systems and how to manage those Linux systems, we talk about networking. So Network Plus is probably in your wheelhouse. Someone had mentioned CCNA. That is actually not, because CCNA is vendor specific. And that's really when you're launching your career, you want to get something that is going to be useful across a wide range of organizations. And so now we do have Python. You say, well, what? Obviously we have Linux because many organizations use Linux. Many of our security devices are using Linux derivatives. So you see that in asset and inventory management and network systems. And we have Python. We chose Python because it is a scripting language. And that's that, on the prior slide, we talked about the requirements. You need to have an understanding of math. And I like to think of it, you have to understand the logic of math. And to give you an example, my wife yells at me all the time when I sit there and, we go out to dinner and they conveniently tell us that the tax is, 15, 18, or 20%. But I pick it apart and I go, no, you're only supposed to do 15 to 18% off the pre-tax total. You're not supposed to tip on the tax. That's an example of the logic, right? And that's where, and of course you want to script it. You want to automate these things that you're doing because that's how you make yourself, not pull your hair out, and B, valuable to your employer. So we have programming with Python to give you that scripting language. And then later, if you want to go do Go or Ruby or some other language, go for it. You've got that foundation of programming logic. And then, of course, we transition to system administration, which is focusing on Windows and Active Directory, right? And then we teach you how to break into systems. How do you use the skills of the ethical hacker to break into the system, that red teaming type of engagement? And now that is, it's kind of sort of certified ethical hacker, although the EC Council certification gets really specific into their tools and some of their favorite tools that they want to have. So you may want to do a little bit more study. And I think for a lot of people who are transitioning, unless you want to be an ethical hacker, the Security Plus is probably a better certification for most people. That's my opinion. It's really because it also applies even if you're defending, which is blue team. You're a blue team or you're a defender. So we show you how to attack a system, and then we show you the mitigations or how you could have caught those red teamers. So that's where it builds from one topic to the next, and really tries to get you that well-rounded type of cybersecurity expertise. And of course, you don't have to spend 2 years like you would with an associate's degree or 4 years for a bachelor's degree.
Right. Thank you for that insight. So we also have some of the global leaders as program advisors. We have Rick Hefner, the Caltech CTM program director, who will be your program advisor, and he will ensure that we Simplilearn and Caltech CTM delivers up to the standards of Caltech. These are some of the learner profiles. These are some of the profiles of our previous learners. You can see people from varying backgrounds like information technology, software product, BFSI, healthcare have been part of our learning community. We have people from companies joining us like Microsoft, Amazon, Netflix, LinkedIn, Adobe, Nasdaq, and so on. Simply, as I mentioned earlier, Simplilearn also helps you with job assist services. We have 3 parts to it. We have all learners who enroll for this course will get an access to the job portal where jobs from different companies for cybersecurity roles will be listed, and you are free to apply for these roles. We also help our learners with resume review and rewrite services where we will review your resumes and we'll give you tips and tricks to improve the readability and get your job interview. We also help you with one-on-one interview service where our subject matter experts will help take interviews, your mock interviews, and help you improve for your future interviews as well. So now that you know what all this program, the Caltech Cybersecurity Bootcamp entails, I would like to quickly run a poll. How many of you guys are really interested to enroll for this program? It's a quick yes or no poll. I would request all our participants to punch in their responses, and I'll keep the poll open for another 10 seconds. Meanwhile, I'll just run through some of the questions if we have. We will come back to all the questions in a while. I request all our participants to punch in their responses if you're really interested to enroll for the program. I'll end the poll now. As I can see, almost 94% of our audience is really interested to enroll for the program right away. Thank you all for your responses. I will quickly run you through the enrollment steps. There are 3 simple steps. In the first step, you need to send us an application. That's a simple step where you need to send an email to askus@simplilearn.net. And once we receive your application, our team at Caltech CTME and Simplilearn will review your qualification, your education background, and your experience. Once we have approved your application, a learning consultant will contact you with the admission offer from Caltech CTME. Coming to the program schedule, those who are really interested, our next orientation class and the classes start from the 8th of January 2024. The program is priced at $8,000 US. We also provide financing EMI options which are as low as $704 a month. For any other assistance, if you're from any other region of the of the world, you can simply reach us at ask us at simplylearn.net with your queries, and our team will get back to you. I want to remind our audience that each of the cohorts have limited number of seats, so I would request all of you to hurry in and send us those applications as soon as possible. So now that you know the pricing and the schedule, I would like to know how soon do you plan to enroll for this program? I will quickly run another poll. Is it immediately, within 3 months, within 6 months, or more than 6 months from now? I would request all our participants to punch in their responses. If you want to enroll for the program immediately, you can punch in immediately, or within 3 months, 6 months, or more than 6 months. Keep the
And
poll
here I
open.
might mention, if you're staying with your current employer, sometimes your employer may have tuition reimbursement that may or may not apply. So, people say, oh, well, wait, how am I going to pay for training? I'm like, well, do you have a tuition reimbursement program? And I was always shocked when I worked at places that would offer tuition reimbursement or course reimbursement, and people would never go for it. They would never ask for it.
Yeah,
because you don't know unless you ask.
right. So I would request all our participants, if you're working somewhere, please check with your employer if they have this facility of tuition reimbursement, and help them, which will help you enroll for this course and pay for it as well. Thank you all for your responses. Coming to the questions, I'll quickly run through the chat as well.
I was just gonna, I guess, on that other point, I know years ago when I was up leveling my skills, I did reach a point with an employer where my employer said, no, we're not going to up level your skills. And at that point, I decided to make an investment in myself. And I was self-paying for my courses. I was self-paying for my exams because I actually had been looking at the business and I saw the writing on the wall. There were some mergers and acquisitions that were happening. And I said, I got to do something, and I have a timeline to do it in. I don't have the luxury of time. So that sometimes is another reason you're like, do I have the luxury of taking 2 or 3 years, or do I need to do something within the next 6 months to a year? And so sometimes an employer pays for it. Other times it's worth it, because there have been times I've doubled my salary by getting a certification or up-leveling a skill because I made a transition. Like when I was officially certified to do break fix, or when I got my CISSP many years ago.
Right. So, Bill, we have a question. Will having a associate degree in information systems or cybersecurity will help me get an entry-level job in the field after college?
Associate degree will help, yes. A bachelor's degree will help more. And I think I sort of mentioned that the 2 and the 4 years. It depends on the employer. I know I sound like a consultant. There are some employers who hold firm that they want to see a bachelor's degree, or sometimes they would rather see a completed cybersecurity program rather than just an associate's degree. But the other thing too is that really you just need to demonstrate cybersecurity experience, cybersecurity education. And that's where you don't necessarily have to do the full 2 years for an associate's degree. And to that person who asked that question, yes, then you could get yourself a job where you're working for an employer who will give you tuition reimbursement to go get your associate's degree. Because oftentimes, and as someone who's been through degree programs and teaches for other degree programs, I remember I had to take a course in death, dying, and bereavement in order to get my bachelor's degree. It had nothing to do with the topic of the degree. It was just one of those general education classes that they put in there.
So, Bill, we have another question. As a project manager, what can you do to improve your cybersecurity skills?
Well, let's see. What can you do? Well, okay, I'll give you the free one first. The free one. You heard me say on NBC today, NBC News today, they were talking about the counterfeit goods. Believe it or not, it's watch your news. Watch your news and keep an ear out for cybersecurity issues, because it may only get 90 seconds on the morning news, but you can leave it on in the morning while you're getting your coffee or your breakfast, or just checking up on your email from the day before. Now, of course, obviously, you could sign up for a program such as this. Obviously, right? Big, and even if you're a project manager, it's good to understand. It's good to understand the underpinnings of cybersecurity, and that way some of the how you can estimate the project. Not that you have to do the coding, but you can talk to the coders, and there is that there's that geek speak, if you will. And so, as a project manager, as you uplift your skills, and if you do, and this is just one that's sort of as a project manager, if you find yourself talking with folks who are talking geek speak, if they mention a term you don't know, look it up and learn about it. You can do it ad hoc that way also.
Right. So, Bill, we have one final question. How can I become an ethical hacker, and where do you, how do you help me get started?
Okay, so yeah, and I think I saw a couple questions there that kind of dovetailed into that one. Ethical hacker. So years ago, I am probably one of the reasons why Barnes and Noble no longer has comfy chairs, because you used to be able to go into Barnes and Noble and sit there for hours at a time and read the books on the shelf and then put the book back on the shelf when you were done. Although cybersecurity's gotten bigger, these labs that we have, they're harder to do on your own. So people say, "Oh, can I read a book?" You could read a bunch of books, but if you're trying to do it in a cohesive time frame, right? And that's one of the things. The Certified Ethical Hacker is one of other courses that I've taught in the past for Simplilearn. Simplilearn does have other certification classes. They get more specific into those niches. So there's a Certified Ethical Hacker class. We do the CISA, the auditor class. We have a CISSP class. We have ITIL classes, PMP classes. Like you can delve into where you could do like I don't know, anywhere from a 5-day boot camp to some sort of variation where you take those 40 hours and you chop them up so they're more manageable chunks. Because in this program, it's three nights a week, 3 hours a night, and then you just figure your own time around it. And the boot camps can be structured that way as well. So what this course does is, I even people say, well, gee, if I want to be a certified ethical hacker, this course gives you a really good foundation to understand, because if you jump into a certified ethical hacker boot camp with no cybersecurity experience, your head would be over water. You'd be over water. And I've seen those classes. It's been an awkward conversation of, yes, you really should have like network plus security plus knowledge, basic network and cybersecurity fundamental knowledge before we just throw you into the deep end with certified ethical hacker.
Thank you for that, Bill. I think that's about what we had for the questions today. Before we end, I have a last poll for our audience. If you need any kind of assistance, please punch in a yes in the poll. If you need any kind of assistance with the enrollment process, if you press punch in yes, our team will get back to you at the earliest and will help you with the further enrollment steps. To those who are interested to apply for the program, you can just simply send us an email at ask@simplilearn.net. I have already posted the course link in the chat. I will post it again for everybody. You can visit the course page on our website, get more details, drop your leads so that our team can contact you and help you with the further steps of enrollment. And thank you for your responses. I'll close the poll. And I would like to thank our audience for joining us today and attending the webinar and learning something, how you can get started with your cybersecurity career. I would also like to thank William Bailey for being here today and giving us some key insights on the careers and how cybersecurity is heading towards in the next year. Thank you, Bill, for being here.
Thank you for having me. good luck, everyone, and hope to see you on a future cohort.
Yeah. I would request all of our participants to please fill in the post-webinar survey before you leave or once you leave the webinar so that we can deliver your webinar certificates and the recording link. And thank you all for attending today. Have